Hello, everyone. Welcome to Day Trading Live. Just getting things. All right, well, that seems to work. Just getting things set up here. This is not out to the public. This is just for members in the private group so far. So there won't be many people here, if any, but I'm just getting it set up to see how we can do this. So it's all a very vague test at the moment. So please bear with me. But please put your questions up if you have any. If you got any questions, you're in the private group, but there's no one else in here, and everyone in the private group is probably in bed still because it's mostly the middle of the night for most people. So what I intend to do in this session is to record about 10 minutes of video explaining how the system works, and I'll put that up on the YouTube members area too. And then we'll do some day trading, maybe not today, but we'll see. Hopefully, nothing's really setting up right now. So this isn't going to be movie style production. This is hard trading now, and so it's not going to be edited and pretty and everything. But let me explain to you how the system works. I'll start with one chart, the Bitcoin chart. And this will be recorded, but it won't be pretty. As I said, it's just going to be roughshod recording of what I'm doing here. About 10 minutes. So basically, it's a system that's trading, day trading. Day trading implies that you hold the positions for a day at the most. You close your positions before the close of the day. You don't hold positions overnight necessarily or mostly. When I say day trading, I might hold positions overnight. Try not to, but I might. So it's an intraday trading system, trading off 5-minute charts, as you can see. And we're trying to get in and out of trades within a day. And the objective of trading these 4 instruments is to cover the major markets, the most technical charts in those markets. In other words, the instruments that trade the best, have the highest volume, are the neatest, etc. And I've got crypto, and I'm represented by Bitcoin, metals, precious metals represented by gold, stocks represented by the NASDAQ, and they also all have good volatility, by the way, and natural gas representing the energy sector. All got good volatility and all trade technically well. So we want to be, first of all, on 4 of these charts. We'll be trying to get in and out of any one of these during the day. Not all of them every day will set up, but maybe at least one of them will, or maybe 2, sometimes all of them. We want to be in and out of the trade on any of these sectors. They might move differently. They might be correlated at times, but these are generally not correlated instruments. And so we're not putting everything on red. We're putting a bit of some on red, some on black, some on blue, some on green, 4 things, and they're not necessarily correlated, although there are some correlations. These are 5-minute charts. You can see I've got only 3 things set up on these charts. Oops, those are the trades I've got open. We'll come back to that. So this is the 5-minute chart, and I've got a couple of things on here. First of all, a standard RSI at the bottom here, just regular RSI. And if I double click on there, you can see the settings, 70 and 30, the extremes. I don't have the center line drawn in, and I've chosen the colors that I prefer. It's a 14-period RSI based on the close, based on simple averages. Right, that's that thing at the bottom there with the purple squiggle. Then I've got 2 moving averages on this chart, and I have to zoom in to show you both of them. I've got a green one, the fast moving average, and the red one, the slower moving average. The fast moving average, I'm going to double click and show you what that one is. And you can see it's a 20-period simple moving average on the 4-hour chart. We're trading on 5-minute charts here, but the moving average, this green one, the simple 20-period moving average, is based on the 4-hour chart. In other words, it's the fast, short-term 4-hour moving average that I regularly trade off. The red one down here is the same thing, but on the day chart. It's the 20-period simple moving average on the day chart. It's the slower version, but when you look at the 20-period moving average, the simple one on the day chart, it's the fast moving average. It's the one that gives us the trend direction in the shortest term. So we've got the short-term trend direction here on the day chart in red, and we've got the short-term trend direction on the four-hour chart here in green, both superimposed onto the 5-minute chart from which we're trading. The RSI down at the bottom here is based on the 5-minute chart, nothing to do with the day or the 4-hour charts. This is basically the simple RSI. The trading system is very, very simple. We're looking for a couple of things. First of all, when the green line, the fast moving average, is above the red line, the slower moving average, we want to be long, and vice versa. At the moment, you can see on Bitcoin, the green moving average is above the red one. And if I scoot back, you can see just a while back, the green was below the red one. So we've turned from bearish to bullish. You can have a look at the same thing on all the other charts. I've got exactly the same thing set up here on gold. You can see the green is above the red on gold, so it's bullish, having crossed over roughly at the same time as Bitcoin did, although a little later perhaps. So on the short-term charts, gold and Bitcoin are both bullish. So is the NASDAQ. And if you look at this chart, you can see the green is also above the red, a little earlier than the others, with a big thrust up there that we talked about in yesterday's video, the breadth thrust. Look at the gap down last night, by the way, trying to fill it right now. We got long at the bottom at the dip last night on the NASDAQ and the S&P, not based on this system, but based on our swing trading principles. Natural gas is the only one that's moving down. And if I scoot this one back, you can see that, in fact, there's not enough space here. We have to go much further back. The green line has been below the red one for a long time now. Oops, that's the NASDAQ. Let's go back to natural gas. You can see we crossed over here on the 24th of March, and we've been below that crossover ever since, and still moving down up until now. When we gapped up, we've now filled the gap from last night. I'm hoping that we'll gap up. You can see I've taken a long position here, including the spread. That's where it is there, based on this system. We'll come back to that. So those are the four charts with the four directions: long on Bitcoin, gold, and NASDAQ, and short on natural gas. Now, the entry signals are very simple. When we want to go long, like we do on Bitcoin, and when that crossover has occurred and until it reverses back down, we only want to be long. And we wait for, in order to get long on Bitcoin, based on the fact that we're now long in direction, we wait, and basically we want to now trade these markets. I want to be buying the dips on Bitcoin, gold, and the NASDAQ based on these charts, on the 5-minute charts intraday. So this has got nothing to do with swing trading. This is a mindless intraday trading system, and it doesn't regard politics or economic news. So what we want to do here is look to buy the dips, and on, for example, Bitcoin and the other two that we spoke about, we want to sell rallies on NASDAQ, on natural gas, based on this system. On swing trading, I'm long on natural gas. So what do? We wait for, first of all, we want to be buying the dip on Bitcoin, NASDAQ, and gold. We wait for the RSI to become oversold when we're buying the dip. In other words, the RSI has to reach 70 or very, very close before we even consider a trade. When that occurs, and there are a couple of things that we've got to consider for each instrument. Bitcoin, I like to see a liquidity sweep once a low has been formed. We got the oversold RSI, we got the spiky candle. The next thing we look for is a reversal candle. We got the candle, but we haven't had a liquidity sweep. Maybe that was it over there last night, sweeping that previous low, and we've come back to it now, forming a little head and shoulders. Nevertheless, if we want to get long on Bitcoin, we now want, and approaching the time of the day when we want to be trading, in other words, the opening of the European and London sessions, which is in about an hour from now, about 9 a.m. London time, I start looking, and you can see the markets are starting to move a little bit now as we approach that time, after being very quiet for about an hour or two up until now. As you can see, we have not got an oversold situation on Bitcoin, but when we do, we can start to look for a trade. And you can look further back when we've seen opportunities to trade long. And as long as this green line is above the red line, the 20-period moving average on the 4-hour chart is above the 20-period moving average on the day chart. Simple. We want to be long. Even though we're below the green line, the green line is above the red line. And so we're looking to get long on Bitcoin on the dip. And when we do that, I'll show you how to manage the trade. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to talk about the entry signals. We want to do the same on gold. And you can see gold, actually, if anything, is overbought at the moment on the RSI. It's right at the top there. Bitcoin's kind of in the middle. You don't have to use the RSI, by the way. You could use the stochastic, 1473 stochastic, or the RSI, or a MACD, or any other form of oscillator that you prefer. It doesn't really make any difference. What we are looking for is direction, determined by those two moving averages, keeping it super simple. And we're looking for entry triggers set up by an oversold or overbought oscillator, and then a reversal candle or pattern occurring at that time. That becomes a little bit more tricky, determining the patterns. But I think by now, if you've been trading with me for a while, you'll understand the sorts of candles that I'm looking for. If we look at the NASDAQ, you can see we're also a little bit overbought on the NASDAQ, trying to fill into that gap. And so no buying opportunities. I'd be typically looking to get into the NASDAQ closer to the US session. And the other stuff doesn't really matter. But NASDAQ, particularly in the US session, I prefer to trade it then. I don't mind Bitcoin and gold through the European and British UK session. But I prefer to trade the NASDAQ only when there's much more volume in the US session. You can see on natural gas, because we're meant to be short, I'm just faffing around with this. Just ignore it. This is not a trade that you should be considering. This is more or less the trade that we have on our swing trading, long with a stop loss and so on. And I've just set this trade up as an example, and I put my stop loss just below over here. I haven't, ignore this for now. It's just I'm faffing around and fiddling around, trying to set these charts up so you can see what I'm doing. And I took this trade so I could see what notifications we can get here. So you can see the stop loss and the, hang on, where are we? Yeah, there we go. You can see the entry at that level, including the spread. I actually got long over there at the blue arrow, but with the spread, it's slightly higher at the 20-period moving average here on the 5-minute chart. And the target is higher up over here at $3. So you can see we've got a tight risk stop loss and a big profit target comparatively. That's what we want to do with swing trading, with day trading. You want to try and sort of risk half of and half to a third really of generally what I make on the winners. And so we do expect to lose a lot more trades when day trading, because we're reacting blindly to market signals. We're not putting an awful lot of higher intelligence into it. And the idea of day trading is not to really do that, is to try and trade the signals. So that's it. I just wanted to see what we could see on the chart. So you can see the arrows, the entry triggers. You can see everything seems to be showing quite nicely. And so when I set these trades up, you can see how much money I'll make if we hit profit. You can see how much I'll lose. So we'll lose $49, but we make 321. And so I could do that 5 or 6 times, lose $50 5 or 6 times, and hit one winner and make all of those losses back. And so we must aim for a much larger risk reward than our risk. So I think that's it, really. I just wanted to really record that for everyone, so you've now got it on record. And we'll start to look. And really what we're now looking for is to get long on Bitcoin, gold, and NASDAQ later on in the day when the US markets open, when we have an oversold RSI. We're approaching that on Bitcoin right now, as you can see. So I'm watching this one already. Gold is not oversold, and it's quite near the high, actually quite near 70 rather than 30. Bitcoin's looking interesting. And natural gas, we really want to be ideally using this system. I might as well get rid of this trade, but let's just take this one off. It's only, we're down a little bit. How much are we down? $20. That's all right. I'll just take that off. I just wanted to illustrate, I'm really trying to set this up for everyone to see how it works. So natural gas, using this system, we must be short. We must be getting short because the green line is below the red line. It doesn't have any say on our swing trading positions at all. Nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing. And this could be, in fact, I favor the swing trade position over this entry trigger. So don't panic if you're long on natural gas. And this is a different account. It's got nothing to do with the swing trading. All right. So there's the setups, folks. We have no triggers just yet. And I'm trying to figure out how to do this with everyone in the private group here, and how to get in and out of these streams. And I think what I will do is probably just launch a fresh stream every time and tell everyone in the private group that we're live, rather than hanging around all day long. Let's have a look at Bitcoin as this one starts moving down towards the bottom on the RSI, and see what we could sort of find. I do notice that there was a liquidity sweep already. I'm just going to draw a line across the bottom here. Below, even that low, a couple of liquidity sweeps really. It's quite tricky. It's not all that neat. Let's put it at the lowest point there. And I suppose you could say, let's just add some text there, sweep. So we did sweep that low there, the one on the left-hand side. So maybe that's sufficient for now. And maybe we've just got to retest that line, not re-sweep it, and bounce out of there. So let's watch this very closely. And this is the one, that you can see we've just ticked over another 5-minute candle, and we've just ticked down on the RSI. I'm going to leave this one running and get rid of my mic and everything. Maybe this is the best way to do it. Just leave it running and get rid of my my presence for a while, and you can just watch it. And I'll drift in and out. I think I'm going to do that. So I'll see you in a minute. I might not let this one last for too long, because I do want to record what I just said in the beginning. In fact, I might end the stream and just come straight back. Probably will do that. I'm going to do that.